come up with this analogy at work one day because I had some downtime. I was bored, but I want to share it with you guys. It was like I was just at work thinking of like the autistic experience. So in this scenario, there's an old person in a hospital, and they can't talk, and they're like paralyzed. So they're like bedridden and they can't talk. And we don't know how this old person got there. We don't know. We just like, I'm just starting the scenario here. But yeah, they're bedridden. They can't talk. They can't communicate. I use the old person in this scenario because old people are wise, but they're also seen as small. Like they're kind of helpless, right? And the hospital represents the world, right? So I'm going to keep telling you what each thing represents so you can get the full picture. But yeah, the old person, I use that person because they're wise and small. And then the hospital represents the world. So every so often, there's staff that enters the room to like take care of the elderly person, right? And the staff kind of represents just anybody in your life, your friends, your family, co-workers, even people like really, like if you were in a hospital, it can be that literal, but they just represent anybody in your life that comes in and out, and they kind of just move around you. They like don't see you really, but they do their job. They check on you, so they think, but they can't really see you. And so you have this buzzer, and the buzzer indicates like your needs. You hit the buzzer when you need something, right? And every time you hit this buzzer, it's like no one comes. The buzzer also like represents your behaviors and like you being overstimulated and maybe suffering from burnout or having a meltdown. That's the buzzer. It's that alarm. It's that siren that you just kind of hit when you need assistance. And every time you hit it, it's like no one comes. No one comes after you hit this buzzer, but it was given to you for people to come. So every so often, someone comes in the room that is not staff. And it could be staff sometimes. It doesn't really matter. But somebody comes in and they can see you. Like everyone else comes in and they just walk around you. But when these people come in, and usually it's not a lot, it's always one or two, but I'll just say one in this scenario where they come in and they can see you and you have this feeling of, oh, thank God. Oh my God. They can see me like, I'm not just defeated, and they reassure you like, I'm going to help you. I'm going to really help you. And I'm going to, we got this. And you're like, oof. And before you know it, the person is just like talking at you and making you look at stuff in their phone and like telling you stories about stuff that you're just like, but I need to get out of bed. Like, and they just start performing. They just want your attention. It's just crazy to think about. If you're just laying in the bed, immobile, you can't talk, and somebody's just like, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me, right? So every so once in a while, one of those people come in. And those people represent like narcissists. I don't know why, but narcissists have they can spot us out. They can spot us out in a sea full of people. They know when they see an autistic person, and we are more susceptible to abuse, right? So they're usually like narcissists. They're usually probably other neurodivergent people that can recognize us, like peer review, but they're those villains that I talked about in another video. Like, you have neurodivergent people, and being neurodivergent doesn't necessarily just mean you're innocent and you're good because you're different. Sometimes I think that those people have a chip on their shoulder, and they have powers like we do. We're very intelligent, very keen, and they can spot us out. But instead of helping, they're like, well, if I had to, if you can't beat them, join it. If I became mean, I'm going to try to make you become part of my antics. So those are who the person who can see you, those are representative of the narcs and the villains, right? So they start performing, they come in, they're performing, you're watching them, and they're burning you with cigarettes or something. Like, I'm using that because of the hospital scenario, but just that's compared to like in the real world. You're sexually being abused, taken advantage of when you're in pain, when you can't really, especially if you were undiagnosed, you don't really know what's going on with you, but you don't want to do these things. You're just doing them because people are acting like they can't see you're in distress. And they're like, you're fine. Like, nothing's wrong with you. Like, just let's watch another YouTube video. Keep paying me attention. Like, just keep going to work. Just have another baby for me. Just all this weird shit, right? So you realize that, oh, I'm not gonna get any help. And your spirit kind of gets crushed. You understand. If you have delayed processing, which is a part of being autistic, it took you a minute to see like, oh, this person's not, they didn't come here to help me. They can see me, but they didn't come here to help me, So you just kind of give up and you just take it. You take the abuse because you're like, this has to be the best it's going to get. Like, this is what I have to take. But before you give up, you just think to yourself, let me try a little bit. Like, maybe I didn't convey that I needed help. Maybe I look okay. Maybe they think like I was born not being able to talk and I can't, knowing damn well you probably just look crazy in that bed. But we tend to second guess ourselves because the gaslighting be real. So we go, maybe they can't see it. So you try to do stuff like throw something off the bed, like maybe your fingers work. I don't know. And you flick something off the bed and thinking that they're gonna see it, and then you give the eye contact, like, yeah. And they're like, you're just trying to do anything to get their attention, and they act like they don't see it. Now you're defeated. Now you're like, I'm not going to get any help. You don't even know how long you've even been there. You just know you're laying there and nobody's going to come. This is life. Nobody's going to come. No one's coming. So you give up. And you become in this lethargic state where you're just laying there. And you're numb. And I know most autistic people can relate to this, where you just do what you got to do. You're just numb. And when you do this, it gives off the impression to the abuser or the person that can see you that, oh, like, they're okay with this. And I'm not that bad of a person because they're not fighting anymore. Like, which is the purpose of acting like you don't see somebody suffering. It's so that they can stop fighting and saying, but I need help, but I need help. So you stop fighting and they convince themselves that you're good, and they probably even get a little bit comfortable giving you a little bit of what you want. And honestly, you're so naive and you're so defeated that wasn't even part of your plan. You just gave up. And they said, maybe I can give her this. And when they give you this and they give you that, it heals you a little bit. It heals you little bit by little bit by little bit, so that you can eventually get out of bed. You don't know that yet, but it's healing you. Go to the next video.